And welcome everybody back to WRMN. This is Leah. It is our Friday edition, one-on-one. And for those of you who might be joining us on this Friday, you see that we have gotten some other people joining us in the studio. Now, the one thing that I appreciate is when we decided to, well, first of all, we've always been trying to promote local and things that are happening in the local area. And that's originally how I met Dan early on, is because we were talking about a local story, and you just hit it off, and I like the passion and compassion that you have behind your job. And then you start getting to know the people. You know, Dan was one when my mom passed away. I was like, Dan, I need some help. Can you help me? And he was just like, yep, what do I need to do? Yep. And so those are good people that you want to have in your life, and you want others to meet these individuals. And Dan, again, with Symonds Madison, we had told the story about when they had provided services, and I know you've done them since then.
For John James Murphy, yeah.
Yep.
And I've done a couple before him and then after him too, yeah.
And that was honestly the onset, I think, of Operation Love. That was the reason.
Murphy was the reason we started it, yeah.
Right. And Operation Love, if somebody's not familiar with that, can you tell people what that is?
Operation Love is Love Our Veterans Elgin.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not like a nonprofit or anything like that. We're just kind of like handlers in the sense that, you know, you got something that you want to promote for veterans, or if you want to help, we kind of connect, you know, and then we step back. I mean, you can do what you want to do to help. And also facilitate things like here today to help people get recognition for their family or for that person's service. And
now, does a family member reach out to you, or how is it that you find out about some of these events and activities and birthdays or celebrations?
Well, it's one of those things is that, you know, you just got to call me.
Got it.
You know, or send me an email. And what happens when the nursing home where John Murphy was at, Mr. Shells is at too.
Okay.
And they reached out to me and says, hey, is there any way we can get you to help us?
Right.
And I said, yep, I'll do what I can. I even said I'd show up in uniform.
There you go. Well, you say connects because sometimes that's the biggest necessity,
yep.
Right? Especially for organizations not only like Operation Love, but before we've had Greg in here too from Anderson Humane. It's about connecting. It's a matter of knowing if there's an issue going on in your life, you can say, wait a minute, I know a guy, you know, or girl. You know, you can just say, wait, I know. There you go. You can say, I know someone.
Yep.
Yeah. And those are the kind of people you want to have because their goal is always for a positive message. You know, it's always to do something good. You don't ever hear somebody say, I know a guy for something negative. You know, it's usually a matter of, I want to help you pay it forward. Yeah. Well, I didn't want to put that as a sidebar. But then, you know, there goes the other services that you offer. So anyway, but we are here for Operation Love. And Operation Love, as you said, you kind of hinted to it a little bit before, there is a veteran, Walter Shales, who is from the Elgin area, right? So a lot of people are familiar with him. And I've got joining me in studio today as well is we have got his daughter. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, let's let everybody know what's your name and where are you from? Are you from the Elgin area as well?
I'm from Elgin area, Cindy Valentine, and I'm living in the same house that I grew up in.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
were you born there, or
I was born in a hospital.
Oh, you were the one. You were the one that wasn't born in the house.
Right.
Oh, okay.
She's had that question before. I can tell.
Yeah, this is going to be nothing new.
But Cindy, we were talking, and first of all, if you grew up in that house, the ins and outs, did all of your other siblings stay in this area?
Okay. Now,
because usually when that's the case, the siblings will move on.
Right. When Wally built the house,
okay,
his main mission was to move his family, which would be my grandma and grandpa,
okay,
and all his siblings, which would be, there was 8 of them.
Wow.
And they moved there. So they lived there with my grandma and grandpa. Then my dad got married.
Uh-huh.
And then he had us 3 kids there. And we all were raised there in cornfields.
So now you're up to like 12, 15
roads.
people, right?
Yeah, and so we're up that far.
It's not that big of a house.
And meanwhile, we got older and we got married or went our way. And then other same Shales family people would come there and they stayed there. They needed a place.
Right.
Now his grandchildren were even born on that property.
Wow.
And he has a great grandson that is on that same property. We've kept those 6 lots that he was so thrilled to be able to buy when
Right.
they get out of the service are all still intact with Wally.
You know what? I'm going to say, though, that not only is undertaking that Wally had wanted right from the beginning, but that says a lot for the family because there's a lot of effort to keep that up and
It
running
was.
and
It is.
tradition. Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
I think what was funny is that I thought interesting was the fact that for 8 years there was 5 generations living in the house.
yeah.
For 8 years, 5
That's
generations
what I
living
mean.
in a
But
house.
you know what? Then that's the way it was
But
for a
we're
long
there.
time.
But
yeah.
but I think we all know that
5 generations, Jiminy
Wally
Christmas.
grabbing that,
No.
getting that property was, and digging it by hand and building it.
Well,
by
let's
hand.
tell that story real quick. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
he bought the land just after he came back from the
From the
war.
service, right.
Yeah, and then he goes to me. I interviewed him yesterday. I talked to him for a little while, and he goes, got out here, and it took him a while to actually start building, and then he walked up with one shovel. He says, "Oh, you know, if people would have an excavator or something like that. No, I did it with a shovel."
Did he really?
Yeah.
He did. There's things about him that are amazing. He is annoying. Don't get me wrong. Oh my goodness. But I'll tell you, there's a will in that man that will not stop and a love for life.
Uh-huh.
Every day. It doesn't matter how bad he feels. Thank you, Jesus, for this day.
Well, that's the other thing I mentioned is that I had asked him what was the key to making it to almost 100 years old. You know, let's hope that he lives for
Yep.
another
Yep.
long time,
Uh-huh.
and to annoy you.
Yeah, I know.
He said that's what it was. He was going to stick around just to annoy his family.
No,
Oh.
no. I said
He's doing a
that.
heck of a
But,
job.
but you know what? No, just from what I know of him now, it would be a funny and exact thing he would
Oh,
say. It's like, nope, I had to stick around here just
You
to
see
kind
the
of
look on
annoy
my
you.
face. You're right.
You're right. Well, I asked him what was the key to making it to 100. He goes, God,
Yep.
love, family, hard work.
Yeah.
And living a clean life. No smoking and no drinking.
No, he did none of it. Nope.
See, and when there's somebody that's got that kind of, my grandma used to call it chutzpah, when there's somebody that has got that kind of inner grit to them, I can see that that's a person that's going to take one shovel and just show, you know what, I bought this land, and there's a pride that goes behind that too, I think.
And that's what still carries him on now.
Yeah.
And having that home, although he is in a rest home, we get him 4 times or so a week to come home to his house.
Yeah. Oh, that's
That
awesome.
oh yeah, he's there quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he's 5 minutes away.
Uh-huh.
So we can connect, all of us can connect. But the family still all comes there. The parties will always still be there.
Uh-huh.
Christmases are always there. And they'll all show up. And that's a lot of Shaleses, let me tell you.
And you know what? This is the reason I bring that up, and hopefully you guys will carry that on. And you know, if you know, sometimes his time on Earth is done. You know, hopefully you will carry it on, because how many times do you hear a story when a matriarch or patriarch passes that those were the reasons that you got together for family events? You know, you hear that a lot. So it sounds like you guys have enough tradition and a love for that.
It's the land.
His mindset. Yeah, but that's what I
The
mean, that you
land,
know
I-
the story
I
behind
can't
it.
hardly believe that would be so important, but you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can see it. Even when he's got a sister 95, 197. They're all ages we have in that Shales group.
He
And
said
they're
that the
all- how many are
average
still?
the
Oh
average
yeah, and they come there.
yeah, they said his average age of his family is in their 90s.
Easy.
Wow.
And
Well, that's
then-
got good blood for you. That's yeah.
We what's interesting is that with his military service, before he was born in 1924. Mm-hmm. Hence why he's turning 100 this year. Could
He's
do
a
the
smart
math.
one.
I am. My wife says I'm educated. He's turning 100 this year. Born 1924. He lived here in Elgin. He was born here. He lived just up the road over here on the river.
Okay.
Mill Street.
Mill Street, right next to the refinery. Not the
Okay.
refinery, the
Foundry.
foundry. Wrong
And there
word.
was a creamery that was
Creamery
also
there,
down
too.
there.
And he grew up there, and he was telling me about how he'd wake up every morning covered in soot, and it was always not a pleasant place to
They're
be.
poor people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and
Well,
then
yeah, and I can see that, especially with the stuff that floats in the air and
Yeah.
that's going to come in. Yeah.
things were different back then.
Absolutely.
And so he grew up here, and then he graduated. He went to Elgin High School, and he graduated, and then at 19 he was drafted into the Army in 1943.
Right, into the Army, right?
Yeah, into the Army. He then went to basic training, and then went to California. Was then sent to. In California. He was anti-aircraft.
Okay.
He shot the aircraft down. And he was trained on all the weapons in California. And then he went to New Guinea, and he relieved the people there at New Guinea. And then he went to the Philippines, and then he was in the Philippines. It says then they dropped the bomb.
Wow.
As he put it, they dropped the bomb.
Yeah.
And a month later, he was in Japan.
It's funny, when you hear a veteran, they speak so lightly of that. It's like, yep, nope, and then they drop the bomb, But it's true. But it was fact. I mean, that was the news. They got their news. They found out this had happened. They're like, all right, let's go.
Yep. And then he was in Japan. Then he came back in '46. Then bought the land in '49.
Yes, correct.
Okay, I'm trying to remember my
You're doing
lineage here.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Bought the land in '49, and then waited he didn't give me a time when he started digging the
I
foundations.
believe it was 50. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's when he got married in '50, right?
Yeah, and he was already building.
He was
there.
building a house.
Yeah.
He wanted to have the house built before he got married.
I believe they were sleeping in a room that was half done. If you want the story.
I don't
That
doubt
wouldn't
it.
surprise me.
You don't
Yeah.
want my mom to tell you the story, but that's the story.
Yeah.
And he brought mom and dad over
Yes.
to the house and all that.
and his brothers and sisters. And, yeah.
So he knew that was his plan right from the
Yeah,
get-go when
and
he was going to build
did.
this house. Uh-huh.
He had a plan and he did it, and he said finally down the road when he seen how good he was doing on what was 50 cents an hour.
Well, yeah, it was 50 cents a day.
He had to thank somebody, and he knew then.
Yeah.
I thank Jesus.
Yeah.
And he has done that every day of his life, still to this day.
Well, even when he went through hard, tragic times,
yes.
when your mom and him divorced.
Yes.
And it was very hard on him. He took it very hard.
Yes.
But he still thanked Jesus
Yeah, he
and
did.
kept that faith in Christ.
Right.
Which was important, I think, just to be able to move on and know there's nothing can't stop you.
Right.
You know.
You got the good guy on your side. Yeah, and there's something too that there's an inner peace that comes with that. Even though he might be
I think
feisty,
he has
and
that,
I
because
think
I
it's that
watch
inner
him.
peace. Yep.
And none of this is making any sense to me. I've been with him forever. And you watch him, you can't figure out where does this come from.
Yeah.
Well, it's inside and
Yeah.
implanted there.
And we go back to the hard work, faith in Christ, and family, and living a clean life. I think going back to that again, I think is what has driven him.
Right, and you pay thanks because you know nothing would happen without it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Absolutely.
and I think when you have that mindset too, you're also understanding that it's if it's of His will, and if not, then so be it. You know,
They'll
and
even
so I
tell
think
me-
that part
yeah.
is probably what kept him going.
At the rest home, they even tell me it's like having a light over there. They love him over there. He has fan clubs over there. People try to give him gifts over there.
You make me laugh so much because you remind me of when I would go to, I get called to school for one of my kids. And the kids, for a teacher conference, parent-teacher conference, right? And the parents would be, or the teacher would be like, oh my gosh, they're great. They're wonderful. They're so obedient. And you kind of look at them and saying, you sure we talking about the same kid?
No, I hear things that they're like.
I heard that too about my kids too.
Who was the person you're talking about?
Is that my
Right.
child?
But so that he's received that well, and sometimes people too show their true colors with family, but otherwise they put on a really
Well,
good
that
show
would
for
be
everybody else.
Wally.
It sounds like my Emily.
You got that right. Boy, he's excellent at it.
And so Operation Love has jumped on board, and you are going to be hosting a celebration on Friday. That's going to be April 19th, and it's going to be at, where's it going to locate, and what are the times of it?
It's 50 North Jane Drive.
Okay.
It's at the nursing facility he's at. He's going to be out front.
That's Riverview Rehab, right?
Riverview Rehab.
Yeah.
Yep.
They didn't want any kind of, they wanted to keep
Quiet, yeah.
Yeah, but they put it on Facebook. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Well, no, they want to try to be humble about it.
Sure.
You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
No,
It's
you
not
know.
about them. It's
Oh
about
no,
him.
they're. Oh
So,
my gosh, yeah, they're
yeah.
doing things for him that I wouldn't have done. And I'm his daughter.
And I'm hoping that when you people are coming, if they do come out there to help celebrate, I hope that you're giving them like this whole story and this information.
Well, we're trying to, yeah.
Yeah, because in understanding that, and if anybody wants it, if you don't mind, I will make a couple of prints of this and I'll put
Absolutely.
it in our redemption center.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And that way, if somebody wants it, because it's an amazing read. You know, you start talking about, well, not only like where he's at, but it tells a little bit more about the man.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it too, Cindy, that you're in here because to me, you put it real. And what I mean is like, yeah, this is it's a great thing, but don't think that, everybody has their own personality. And so you see it, but every time you tell the story, I can see you get a softness in your eye. We always have that funny little clip like, ornery as hell, you know, but you, when you tell the story, you can see it in awe and
Well,
amazement
the good thing
that
you
I
didn't
said.
have my brother in here with me because he could really tell you the story. There's a guy to guy, toe to toe right there, let me tell
And,
you.
let me ask, so how many siblings do you have?
I have a sister and a brother.
A sister and a brother, and they're still with you. And how
yes.
many of your father's siblings are still here?
Oh, let's see, there was 8 of them. There's 6. 6 are still left.
Well, he lost his older brother,
And then
who he
Gary,
actually.
Oh, no, 3 are gone. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
three are gone?
Yeah.
5.
Well, I find the interesting story about his older brother.
Yeah.
His
Oh,
older brother
yeah.
was in the Army too, and he was a captain.
Okay.
He was an officer, and he ran into, it was in New Guinea, right? Or was it Philippines?
I want to hold
Was it
this.
Philippines?
Dan, can I just hold you a second? We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to call this our teaser because I want to hear what this story is. We got to hit this break real quick, but I want to hear it. So hang tight. Can you hang on a second?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to this quick break. We'll be back with more WRMN. It's one-on-one. We have got Dan joining us from Symonds, Madison. They're talking about Operation Love and the 100th birthday of Mr. Shales. We'll be back in just a bit.
There's a price war in the insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call the Term Lifeline right now and see if you can save 40%. $500,000 plans and up, that's our specialty. Even great smokers' rates. Protect your family today. Call the Term Lifeline right now for a free quote. 866-509-TERM. 866-509-TERM. 866-509-TERM.
Experts say regular auto maintenance is one of the most important things for your car. Meineke Car Care Center at 376 Sundown Road in South Elgin covers all your automotive needs. From oil changes, brake services, and emission testing, Meineke's expert staff provides hard work and dedication with the utmost professionalism. Need an oil change? Visit Meineke in South Elgin for their 23-point inspection. Call 847-888-9644.
WRMN has been serving Elgin and the Fox Valley for 75 years, featuring a combination of local news, information, and entertainment in the mornings, followed by the radio shopping show for 5 hours each weekday. The first shift with Marky B starts your morning at 6 a.m., and it's always fun when Larry Jones is a part of the show.
Maybe we need to get a radio intern in to help.
Maybe so.
Somebody that you won't have to pay and you can treat them tough.
I can haze them.
Can't haze, you'll get fired. Remember that guy from Northwestern?
Yeah.
Gone.
Did he really do it?
You don't have to really do it. If somebody says you did,
Yeah.
good enough. Maybe I'm going to accuse you of hazing me. I don't have to prove it.
And then there'll be a lot of people that come out of the
It's
say that
like,
I also hazed
I
them.
remember when Mark hazed me. I've been hazed.
Mark hazed me back in 2012.
2012. I remember in Memphis one time. He was really mean to me.
It's first shift fun and information in the morning, combined with the radio shopping show to save you money. And you get it right here on WRMN AM 1410, WRMN 1410 Radio on Facebook, and WRMN1410.com.
Take your family out or meet up with a friend for breakfast, lunch, or dinner at the Elgin IHOP, located at 101 Randall Road by the theater. They're open for dining 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Stop in at 3 p.m. for happy hour with discounted meal deals for early birds starting at just $6. You can choose from breakfast choices like the pancake sundaes or juicy burgers or maybe a classic burrito bowl. Check out the menu at ihop.com today.
This is Marky B inviting you to feel the power of the first shift.
To God be the glory, my brother. Thank you so much. You are such an inspiration to many of folk that's here in Elgin. I'm in West Dundee. I'm a Dundeeite now, not an Elginite anymore, but I love you. I can even give a number of prayers that we as a people continue to grow and to be there for one another. Please, people, let's get on board. Check on your neighbors, check on your friends, and just give an inspiration that life is worth living.
It's the first shift weekday mornings from 6 until 10 right here on WRMN.
Everyone has a community to lean on. A neighborhood, school, kids' teams, where you worship, work out. or any other place or group where you choose to belong. Communities can provide support when you need it, and even when you don't know you do. Like when it comes to preventing underage drinking and other substance use. You've talked with your kids and shared clear expectations, but you're not with them every minute. Your community members, friends and relatives, teachers and coaches, faith leaders, and other important adults in your kids' lives can be your eyes, ears, and a supportive influence when you're not around, reinforcing your messages with your kids and alerting you to warning signs of underage drinking or other substance use. So talk with your kids about these issues and involve the members of your community to help keep your kids safe. Because when you talk, they hear you.
We hope you're enjoying One-on-One with Leah, which features the Radio Shopping Show, the most amazing show on the radio. Call 847-931-1410 now to live large for less with Leah. That's 847-931-1410. And now back to Studio 14 in downtown Elgin as you go one-on-one with Leah.
And welcome back, everybody, to WRMN. This is our one-on-one edition. I am here. I am Leah, coming to the studio live. We have got Dan and Cindy joining us today. And I'll tell you who they are in just a bit. First of all, I want to remind you that Operation Love is a program that Dan and his wife, Joy, I think was one of the powerhouses behind that you guys
She
have
is
done.
the powerhouse.
Okay, I was going to say, Joyce, I'm on your side. I got you there, girl. Anyway, the mission of the operation is to is to honor the folks out there that are unclaimed veterans, they call it. So people who don't have family or maybe aren't part of their family's lives anymore. So there's a lot of veterans out there. And when you had done the ceremony for somebody who didn't have a large family, they realized that, you know what, we should be acknowledging those people when they are alive and not necessarily once they have passed. Still a good reason for it, but there's so many veterans out there that just don't have the connection. And so she developed Operation Love, and that is what connects a lot of the volunteers with veterans in need. And if you would like to be a part of that organization, I'm going to put the website up on our page, but there's a bit.ly one, so it shortens it up a little bit, but I'm going to put that up on our page. So if you would like to volunteer for a organization like Operation Love, certainly do so. Dan, right now I'm going
Go to
bring that back
Facebook.
to
You
you.
can go to the funeral home or go to the Facebook, and you can Operation Love, and you can join the Facebook group.
And that's nice too, because then you get all those
Yeah.
kind of posts and notifications.
And then we'll send out notifications of stuff that's going on. We also do the gifts for veterans in nursing homes. We do that every year, and as well as Valentine's. My daughter, my middle child, Vivian, is very much into Valentine's, and she
Nice.
loves doing the Valentine's for veterans. And so we try to get Valentine's to all the veterans.
What a great way it automatically carries on to your kids. That's so cool. So we were talking before. We have got Miss Cindy in here, and my initial gut says it's Shales, but your last name's not Shales anymore.
Valentine.
Okay, Valentine, that's right. So we've got Cindy joining us in the studio today, and Cindy's father is actually going to be celebrating his 100th birthday, and Operation Love is on tap to, again, host that party. It's going to be over at 50 North Jane Street. Is that right?
We're helping.
Okay.
The nursing home is taking care of a lot of that.
Got it.
We're helping get the Legion involved into as well.
Got it. That's wonderful. And so, again, that's going to be at 50 North Jane Drive, and that's where the Elgin Riverview Rehab Center is, and that's where Mr. Shales is, to celebrate that wonderful 100th birthday. Now, you were telling a little story before we went to the break. Before we finish that off, the time of the event?
It's going to be from 1 to 3.
Okay.
And the American Legion is going to be there. We're going to honor him at 2 o'clock.
Got it.
We're going to give him a membership into the American Legion. He had never joined the American Legion. He'd been there the whole time and never
I could tell you
joined.
stories that he wouldn't join it. You're not going to believe it. We could go from insurance and all kinds of stuff.
I don't need
go
it.
in there.
I don't need it.
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
not
need it.
going. You go ahead.
So, but we're going to give him, for his birthday, we're going to give him a membership into the American Legion. The Legion is paying for it. I volunteered to pay for it, but the Legion said we can take care of it. So
Good people over there. They do
no,
a
they're
great
great
job.
people. And then we're hopefully going to do that. That's at 2 o'clock. We'll honor him, and then I'll be there in uniform. I'm still in the reserves, so and I'll be there, and I'm going to honor him there too as well. So,
Fantastic. Well, and again, thank you for your service and
appreciate
Mr. Shales out there as well. So you were kind of taking to a story before we went to the break, and you were talking about family, and I think you were saying about his brother.
well, what's unique about when I was in Iraq, my brother-in-law was in the service at the same time too, and we were so close all the time, but we never could connect.
Yeah.
And you'll see that with a lot of brothers and sisters who are serving, who go to war or whatever, they don't have a chance to meet up. And they were just like in the passing in the Philippines, and hey, there's his brother right there, kind of thing. You know,
With Russ, he would have been the oldest.
yeah,
but
the
he did
oldest.
pass away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he passed away because he was really close to when the bomb went off. So
Exactly.
he got what, brain cancer?
Some kind of a cancer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, from the few. Yeah.
So, but they connected in the Philippines, which is really, really rare. I couldn't get all the stories out of them, but
Yeah. Well, you know what? You probably would be there for a long time in order to hear.
I was
about-
over there for an hour just talking to him.
He's terrible.
But you know what? That's the great thing about you, Cindy, is that you are carrying on those stories. So maybe he might not be able to verbalize them, but you've got a lifetime of gathering those stories. So
That's
it's
true.
nice to hear the history behind it. And if you've ever heard any kind, there's got to be a book here somewhere. Nobody's written a book on this yet. Oh, there's your calling.
Yeah.
Oh, I need another calling like I need
Yeah.
Well, it might be a good idea to actually write down good stories that you have
Well,
about him.
I got him.
Yeah.
You know,
and I
well-
can get his sisters to help him.
Oh, yeah, that would be a-
Well, see, and that's what I mean,
we
because
could
not
do
only.
a family thinking.
But that's it, because not only that, and every individual appreciates those stories differently. Do you know what I mean?
That is true.
There's times that you might say, okay, this guy is an ornery little fart and is driving me crazy today. You know, it might be all those things, but then you also then start to hear those stories, and you can't help
My
but sit back in
sister-in-law
awe.
is good at that with me
Yeah.
because I can get touchy. It gets her, and she'll just give me a certain look, and her name's Pat.
Uh-huh.
And she just knows what to say.
Yeah. And because, you know, just, you got to remember, you know, you have to remember. And that's the one thing I always comes to true. And that's why it's so important to have fitting volunteers for these kind of things like at Operation
Well, I
Wellness.
suggest if someone out there would like to interview him or sit down and do more detail or sit down with you and your family and maybe compile a book, stories and things together, that would be a great project for someone to do for here. History of Elgin. Some writer who wants to write, has a passion for it and wants to do history.
That's why I'm so glad that you brought this to the attention here of the community, because otherwise we wouldn't know all these stories. I wouldn't have met you guys. I wouldn't have known anything about, I mean, the name is familiar, like a lot of people say, but you wouldn't have known somebody who came back from the war and actually dug with the shovel. When all the excavators are around, you know, just that kind of tale is something you can see in movie form.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or at least in a book, because there's so much extreme.
Oh, there is.
You know, yeah.
I will tell you one thing about him is that when you do, if you're going to come to the nursing home to honor him, we'd love to have everybody come. You know, age doesn't matter; just come and be there. And also, just remember that he's hard of hearing. So you have to talk kind of loud.
Be prepared for that, but that's okay. That's
And he rambles on a
You
little
did
bit.
well.
I did well. He did understand me, but just remember that he doesn't hear very well.
Well, so again, that's wonderful to go to, and again, it's going to be Friday, April 19th. Dan, I want to thank you. Cindy, I want to
you.
thank you.
Thank
Folks,
you.
I want to say goodbye for the day. We're going to be back with more broadcasting here on WRMN. We'll be back after these.